The first time I saw this movie, I absolutely hated it. It was just so awful and so infuriating to watch. Like a lot of people were like, "Oh yeah, the Insidious, that's a decent flick." At the time, like I haven't heard anyone speak about it recently, but at the time, people were like, "Oh yeah, this is a good film. You should watch it." And then the fourth one came out. I watched it, loved it. So I decided to give the rest of the franchise another go, right? And then when I was watching this, I couldn't stop just laughing because it was just so absurd. I don't know. It just tickled me. And then this is my third time watching it. And again, I've got different feelings towards it. I do think like this movie having like Elise and the duo kind of in it, but they don't really do much. They're literally just introduced and there you go. Here you go. These are these characters. You're supposed to care. No, that's not how it works. But I watched this in chronological order. So I watched the third one, the fourth one, and then this one. So you actually build up the characters so you actually care about them in this movie. I think that works a lot better personally because otherwise it just feels like they just randomly placed it like, here you go. I think Patrick Wilson did an excellent job. Like every single scene he's in, he's just fun to watch and he just gives a great performance throughout. It doesn't matter what he's doing. He can literally be sitting at a desk marking papers and it's interesting. I don't know why, but I just think he's probably one of the best horror actors. Like, that we have at the moment. He really is because he just brings his A game every single time and it's just such a joy to watch. But the movie itself, it's generic, unfortunately. Like, I understand that this is James Wan and Lee Whannell's, early in their careers, right? But the first movie they did together was Saw, right? And this doesn't even come close. Like, it's not even like captivating in the same manner. It is just very like run of the mill, you like Poltergeist. This is our take on Poltergeist. And like the whole journey with the further, like it is really, really interesting and like it is a cool concept. But where the other movies kind of develop it and kind of build it into like its own thing, they don't really do much in this apart from going, oh yeah, you can dream. And then you go and travel with ghosts. And everything's got its blue hue and it's supposed to be interesting, but it's not really interesting at all. When you are watching the prequels, like the way the further acts is completely different. So the narrative, being this is only 4 films, is a bit of a mess. It is a bit of a mess, unfortunately, because like Elise can't go into the further for some reason. Patrick has to do it, and like there are loads of things that you can just like poke a hole into. And I understand this is the first movie, so this should be the one that's considered first step, but I don't know, it just feels a bit weird in that regard because like bigger franchises are better put together than this. Like the ghosts are supposed to interact when like they've left their body and stuff like that, but Rose Byrne's character can see them like throughout the movie and like as she goes through the movie she sees them more and more frequently and they keep doing stuff and I'm like, okay, so she hasn't got the power to go into the further. She is just an average Joe. And I understand like the sun is like bringing them all like there and like they're getting more power from him, but no one else apart from her is seeing them. So it's a bit weird and it's kind of like, okay, but I do really like her delivery. Like that, again, she brings her A game and it's fantastic. Like the whole idea of the sun being haunted is just fantastic because you have the haunted house, you have all these kind of ideas, but you never really have like the sun is just haunted. No matter where you go, if you take him with you, these ghosts, these demons, they're going to come with you, and it's such a brilliant idea, but it never really capitalizes on that idea. We just get, oh yeah, this is happening, it's supposed to be scary, great, okay, can you like delve into it a bit more and give us something to sink our teeth into? And like Lipstick Face, he's got a cool design, right? But you never do anything with him, right? He is supposed to be this all-powerful demon, right? And all he does is scream at Patrick. And then like he chases the kid. I'm not being funny, but if you can't take on a kid, how on earth are you going to do anything else? Like, really? The old woman in this is more threatening than the all-powerful demon. And she is just an old woman. That's it. That's all she is. She just does a smiling thing, but she is much more unsettling than him. And like the ghosts are alright, but they don't really do much. Like one of them looks over the baby starts crying. That's it. Like The one that I really enjoyed was when Rose was like putting out the trash or whatever she was doing, right? And then she hears the music playing and like, there's a little kid dancing. And you're like, that's creepy. That's good, right? And then she goes past the window and then the kid disappears. And then she runs in the house to check it. And like the music stops as well. It's just fantastic. It's just such a good scene in this movie. But the rest of the movie isn't like that. Like, I don't know if this was planned as like a two from the beginning, but like the sequel bait at the end is like, okay, it's an interesting choice, but I don't really like sequel bait because, you know, it just doesn't do anything for me. Like, it's such a hard franchise to kind of build because like the person that you kind of, you know, who introduces you to the further release, you kill her in this movie. And like, where do you go from there? And it's such a bizarre choice. Like, I get like why they did it, but they kind of backtrack through the rest of the franchise that very idea. Even when James and Lee come back into the next one, you know, they're backpedaling because they bring Elise back. And it's like, what are you doing? I am glad that I watched this movie because, you know, I don't think it's a good movie, but it's an alright watch. It's not something you can go, oh my word, this is amazing. But it is entertaining. It's not great by any standard, but you know, it's not bad if you're just sticking it on. It's just watching it and just going, yeah, it's alright.